Hey, I'm CARBO brother. I'm Chris Nelson, president of CARBO. Really excited to introduce new Sig Sauer P238, P938 trigger spring kit for your SIG pistol. This is a fantastic little platform. This used to be my concealed carry firearm of choice. Just a fantastic pistol. Really love this stout little frame, 1911 concept. Really enjoy it. Now, the trigger pull could use a little work, which we took it from 5.5 pounds down to 3.5 pounds, nearly a 40% trigger pull reduction. We also did some polishing, polished the feed rant and polished some of the surfaces there on the hammer. Really phenomenal improvement, really nice, clean trigger pull as well. Really excited to get into this one. Let's get on over to tabletop, put this baby in. Before we get started, let's go ahead and check our firearms together, make sure they're clear. Drop the magazine if you got one in. Check the chamber, check the bolt face, check the magazine well. This firearm's clear. Let's see what kind of factory trigger pull we're starting with. 5 pounds, 7.8 ounces. Let's take one more to confirm. 5 pounds, 5.3 ounces. Parts and tools needed for this build: the CARBO firearm feed rant polishing kit, great kit. You also need your Dremel rotary tool, anything will work. $8 option at Harbor Freight will even work. Sig Sauer P238, P938 trigger spring kit by CARBO includes a lighter hammer spring and a lighter firing pin spring, bench block, 3/32 inch Allen key, synthetic grease with PTFE, 1/16 inch punch, 3/32 inch punch, 1/8 inch punch, flathead, micro-tip screwdriver, a hammer, and as always guys, make sure you're wearing iPro. All right, so what we'll do is we'll get started by removing this slide stop right here. You're gonna push back on the slide. You see that little half moon feature on the slide. You wanna line that up with the actual little half moon feature there on the slide stop, and you're gonna push on that little pin right back here. Good size pin actually, so push on that, it'll come right out. You can pry it up. If you need to use your punch, you can push from the other side, but it should come out nice and easy. Real simple. There it is. Set that aside. We'll go ahead and slide the slide forward, right? We'll leave that all together just for right this second. And now we'll focus on the pistol grip frame. Now we'll take our 3/32 inch Allen key. We'll remove these pistol grip screws. There are 4 of them, 2 on each side, and they're universal, so don't worry about getting them mixed up. Go ahead and pull off that grip, flip it over, do the same on the other side. So there it is, there's your trigger bar, trigger, this is your disconnector here, and this is your ejector up here, safety, hammer, and then inside you'll see this crazy looking spring right here. This is actually your sear spring. All right, it's flat, it's in 2 pieces. You'll be able to see it. We don't want to mess with that. That's very difficult to put back together. Trust me. It may be tempting to tap out this magazine housing pin down here. Do not do that. The reason we're making this video is to make life a lot simpler. So what we want to do from here is we want to go ahead and remove the hammer. All right, and that's going to allow us to remove the hammer spring and replace that, and we'll do some polishing. So we'll go ahead and we'll drop that hammer forward. Right, now we're going to push up on this actual safety right here. We just pushed it all the way up. Just keep your thumb on it because there's that spring and detent in there. That'll want to pop out on you. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull out that spring and detent. Whenever we put this safety back in, we want the hammer vertical, just like that. All right, and you'll just wiggle it right out. There's 2 notches right there on that external safety. You can see it, and that's what lines up right here in the frame. So we'll go into that as we put it back together. Next, we'll go ahead and take our 1/8 inch punch, and we're going to push on this big pin right here on the opposite side. This is what's holding the hammer in place. So we'll push on that pin, right? And this is that little recess as well where that safety spring and detent is captured. So you can see that part right there. All right, that's the hammer hinge pin, and it's also what captures that safety spring and detent. All right, we'll set that aside. Pull out our punch. Hold on to that hammer because it is under a little tension. Now we'll pull our hammer and hammer strut right out, just like that. See that? See the way it's oriented? Okay. We'll set that down. Now we're just going to flip it over, little tap, and out comes our hammer spring. So you'll notice at the bottom of this hammer spring here, as it came out, is your mainspring housing pin lock. That little tab on top is what locks into the mainspring housing pin. If you were to remove this, there's actually a notch in the center, so this locates in the center of that pin. So it's very important you have that little rounded tab. If you pull this out, you'll notice there's a massive tab right there. You do not want to put that in, right? So you want to make sure that massive tab is what locates inside the spring, and that little rounded tit, if you will, that's what's going to locate into the pin inside the actual mainspring housing, all right? So we'll set this down just for a second. Now we're going to go ahead and open up our Sig Sauer P238, P938 trigger spring kit by CARBO. This will also work on the Colt Mustang and a lot of other varieties as well. So just go ahead and hit us up if you have any questions. All right, so the bigger spring is our lighter replacement hammer spring, and this smaller diameter spring, this is our firing pin spring, and it is lighter. We went lighter on the hammer spring and lighter on the firing pin spring. That way we don't get any sort of light strikes or malfunctions. It's a nice equal reduction. That way there, we're gonna have the best trigger pull reduction and the most reliability and performance out of our firearm. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna replace this hammer spring now. All right, so the factory spring's kind of a darker amber color, and the CARBO spring's a little shinier, so it's an easy way to make sure you don't get them mixed up. So what we're going to do is take that little bit of synthetic grease of PTFE, we're going to put a little dab on the end of this hammer spring, the CARBO hammer spring. We're going to take that little mainspring housing pin lock, and we're just going to drop it into the CARBO spring. Making sure, of course, that little rounded tab is what's facing out. All right, we'll set our factory spring aside, and this is a configuration of the CARBO hammer spring that we're going to drop into the actual mainspring housing. So what you'll do is take your frame, take your CARBO hammer spring with that little locking pin, all right, and you're going to drop the locking pin in down into the housing, right, and it's all set up now. So we're ready to go there, but first we need to do a little bit of polishing before we go any further. All right, so this is optional, of course, but I highly recommend it if you're going to do it and you have all the parts and components. I mean, the polishing kit's very inexpensive, comes with the microfiber towel, which is very handy as this gets pretty messy. You can also polish with the microfiber towel, so it's definitely a great little kit. Comes with a Flitz polish half-ounce can, which is exactly what you need. This will get you a good amount of polishing. You'll be able to do a lot of different firearms while you're at it. Gloves, which is handy. It does get a little messy for sure, so I'll go ahead and throw these on since we'll be switching between assembly and polishing. It just comes in real good handy here. Not to mention it does get a little hot, so it gives you that little added barrier. All right, then you'll take your Dremel, of course. This little lock right here is what's going to allow you to change out your bits. So we'll grab a felt tip bit, drop it right in, a little bullet shape, and just get your standoff, whatever you need there. All right, tighten it right up, okay? And then we're going to coat it with some polish. We'll start off medium speed, and then we'll crank it up. But you really want to saturate this bit real nice. All right, now we're going to take our hammer. This is the engagement area down here. All right, we're going to get the whole surface. Now with polishing, you're not taking any material off. You're just smoothing out any of the burrs. So any of the manufacturing defects, these are made very quickly on CNC mills. So it's not like something they're going to slow down just to make it pristine, smooth surface. So if you put this under a microscope, you would see all those imperfections. So we'll start off medium speed. All right, then we'll crank it up from there. Definitely recommend the iPro. You don't want this stuff in your eye. All right, that was really quick. So we just want to, more or less, we're just testing to see what kind of results we get and see how much more polishing we might need to do. Wow, that's already coming out good. So this is an engagement surface. No need to worry about the finishing or anything like that. This is going to wear naturally inside the firearm anyway. So this is something you just keep clean, obviously. The polishing is going to help a tremendous amount with that smooth trigger pull. It's not going to have that gritty, heavy feeling. It's not going to feel like you're grinding parts together, metal on metal contact, where it's just every little tiny burrs grabbing each other. It's going to be nice, smooth, pristine trigger pull when you're done. I love polishing. Definitely recommend it. Do not do any sanding. That's just definitely the wrong way to go. It's simple to do some nice polishing and get some good, smooth actions out of it. So we'll go ahead and just coat it up again like we're doing. We'll even coat up our bit. You even clean it off a little. Get some good life and longevity of these bits. Now these are sharp edges, so these bits may chew up pretty quickly, but you got 3 in the kit. You know, we also sell replacement bits too, so. All right, let's go ahead and inspect our work here. Definitely pays to keep a close eye on what you're doing. Don't go overboard with it. You know, the goal is to make these subtle improvements that make a big difference. So it's not a fast, in a hurry thing. It's a nice, methodical process. That's already shining up really nice. You can see that. Nice thing about those bullet-shaped bits, you know, the tip will get right into these features here, which really helps. So we'll go one more pass with it and then we'll be good. And we will actually polish the feed ramp on that barrel really quick too before we move on any further. Might as well, since we've got it out and we're already doing it. You know, having a nice smooth feed ramp is a great way to prevent any sort of failure to feeds. You know this action's gonna feel like butter, man. Oh yeah, that's looking beautiful already. And you can take your towel and do some of the finishing work there. You know, with the polish, you can polish with this towel just back and forth. Obviously the Dremel really helps a lot. You know, it takes a lot of that manual labor out of it. And it does a quick, beautiful job on it. Man, this is just something. You know, just a reasonable amount of time. You could do this 20 minutes. You can see in the video, this is all I did. So as much as you want or as little as you want, just don't go overboard. You know, there is definitely, you know, if you spent an hour polishing this part, you're going to probably change something that will have a negative impact on the firearm. So we want to keep it, you know, 15, 20 minutes polishing, nice, clean, pristine look, and that's what we're going for. We're just smoothing the surfaces out. That's fantastic, man. All right, we're going to put this baby in now, but let's quickly grab that feed ramp. Do that while we're at it. So you'll go ahead, your guide rod and recoil spring, set those aside, go ahead and pop out your barrel. You can see how grimy that is. It could use some love right there. So we'll clean it up, give it a nice smooth finish there, and we'll see what the difference is. I guarantee it's going to be a night and day difference. Really love polishing because you can just see the change right before your eyes, and it doesn't take long at all. And you can crank up the speed too if you need to, and we'll probably do that here in a second. Now with the increased speed, it's going to get more heat, so you definitely want to give it a little break in between there. You know, that's why we stop and inspect our work. You don't want to get this thing so hot that it's just burning when you touch it. So you can see we've already got some great progress there, man. Look at that. Those are going to be some really happy bullets. Just nice and smooth, no problem. They're not going to be dragging on any burrs. And those are microscopic imperfections, and that comes from machining. You know, you're not going to get a completely polished part from the factory. Guns would just be, they wouldn't even be affordable. So, especially nowadays, everything's, you know, cheaper and cheaper manufacturing as, you know, fast as possible you can make them. So look at that, man. If you don't have a lot of money to spend to really improve your firearms, this is the way to do it. I mean, you can polish and really improve a lot of that function, smooth, clean, crisp action. Man, this is just the first pass. So let's keep, you know, do a couple more passes here, you know, and we'll take a look at our results as we go. Really excited to see what you guys are able to do. Post some pics if you guys, before and after, of what you're polishing here. I'm excited to always see those. Love to see the results. Man, I am really happy with that. That is just fantastic. Look at that. So you'll definitely want to clean out that barrel on the inside a little bit. We'll grab some Q-tips and do that. But man, I just can't stress it enough. Just polishing in general just makes a world of difference. Look at that. That is just beautiful even to look at. So eager to see what kind of results you guys get. I'm going to clean up the inside real quick, clean up this mess, and we'll get on to the rest of the installation. All right, so we're back together here on the tabletop, got our life in order again. So check these out. Look at these polished surfaces now, man. This is fantastic improvement over what we just had. Really phenomenal, easy way to improve your firearm. I forgot to mention, flitz gets everywhere, so now you're well aware of it, I'm sure, if you just followed along. And if you did it on your kitchen table, at least you won't have to explain to your wife anymore why you need a dedicated work spot for working on guns. This is it, man. This is what it's all about. Smooth, easy, clean, crisp surfaces. These bullets are going to be super happy, man. Look at that. And same with the hammer. Look at that. Smooth engagement. I'm excited to get these back in and see what the feel difference is. You're going to get that nice, smooth, clean action now with these nice, pristine surfaces. That's just fantastic. So you can keep going on these. I didn't go too long, but 15, 20 minutes, that should be just enough. Now let's put the actual hammer back into the pistol grip and get going on that. Then we'll jump back over to the slide and put in that firing pin spring. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and reinstall our hammer and hammer strut back into the mainspring housing. See that our hammer spring is already back in there like we did earlier with the mainspring housing pin at the bottom. All right, now we're gonna drop our hammer strut right into the center of that hammer spring. All right, lowering our hammer into place. Wanna line up this hole here with the big hole in the hammer. All right, and what you'll have to do is compress it a little bit. Notice how this ejector is blocking that hole just a hair. So we'll have to push that forward, and then we'll take our hammer hinge pin, which has got that big hole in the center for the safety spring and detent, right? So we'll take our hammer hinge pin, drop it right into this hole, all right? And then we push that ejector forward. We can get that extra clearance we need to get past the ejector. Now we want to push down on that hammer, right? It may help to flip it over so that we can see what we're running into here. So pushing the hammer down into the side until we can get it right lined up. Perfect. All right. We're all the way in there now. Okay, good. Now we'll go ahead and drop in our safety spring and detent. This little guy right here, a little tiny detent, long skinny spring, drops right into that hole, just like that. Our hammer is vertical right there at the 12 o'clock. Now we're going to take our external safety, okay? Remember those two little tabs that we talked about during disassembly? You can see them right there. We're going to line those up with that little tiny notch on this end of the hole right there. You can see it if you position it just right. Okay, drop those right in, just like that. Move it. Now we're going to push down that spring and detent with our 1/8 inch punch. Set it on the table, push it right down, compress it, do not lose it, and then pull down on your safety lever just like that, and it'll capture right in place. Now when you're checking this, also be careful. You don't want to go too far because this will spring out and hit you right in the face. You want to be careful. Don't want to lose that. So just take your time with it. So that right there is fire. Okay? So you should be able to pull the trigger, right? Trying to be gentle with it here. You don't want to knock anything out of alignment. Safe. Nothing. Good. Fire. Perfect. All right, so we're good to go there. So let's go ahead and put the rest of it back together. So now we'll put our grips back on with the grip screws. Remember, these are universal, so you don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. Need that 3/32 inch Allen key. Let's get them nice and snug. You don't want to strip them out. Flip it over, do the same on the other side. Nice and snug. All right, we're good to go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and swap out the firing pin spring. So you'll notice here, this little tab, this is the back of the firing pin here, and you can see it pushing through the front there. All right. So what we're going to do is just set it down on the tabletop, push down on the firing pin, simultaneously pushing down on that plate, and you'll see it'll just knock it right out of alignment there. Pushing forward on that plate, got your thumb ready to capture that spring as it'll pop out on you. All right, set the plate down. There's the firing pin. And we're pulling it out. There's the firing pin spring. Goes right in like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll take the lighter firing pin spring. We're going to swap it out. The CARBO firing pin spring is silver. The factory one's kind of an amber color. Set the factory spring aside. Go ahead and turn it back upright. Drop in the lighter firing pin spring with the firing pin. All right, it's staged and ready just like that. Now we'll take our little firing pin stop and we'll slide that on. All right, same way it came off. You'll notice there's a little taper right here. All right, that'll be facing up. Slide it right on. Get it started just like that. And you can take your 1/8 inch punch, push right down with it, compress that firing pin and spring, and then push on that plate and it'll lock right in place. You'll hear that nice snap, which is always a good sound when we're doing this sort of thing. And then you can take your punch and just push on the back of that firing pin, make sure it's functioning properly. Fantastic. All right, we are good to go. Now we'll take our barrel with that nice shiny polished surface, drop it right in, and then we'll take our flat wire recoil spring and guide rod, go ahead and push that right in, get it all to lock in place. Look at that, we are good to go. All right, so the slide is done, the frame is done. Now we just need to put the slide stop back in. So we'll go ahead, take our slide, get it started on the frame there. Make sure you push down on that ejector right here, pull back on the hammer, push down on the ejector so you can get the slide all the way back, and then we're going to line it up. So we want to go ahead and make sure you can see that lug moving back and forth there on the barrel. So when it's forward like this, the lug is centered right up. So we get it started. Our slide stop is started in place. Push back until you get to that little half moon on the slide there. And there's that little half moon feature there on the slide stop, and it'll push right in, just like that. Nice good snap. You can see the other end of it right there, the pin. We're good to go. Nice. Slide stop works great. Check the safety. Perfect. Check the trigger pull. Woo, nice. Oh man, that is smooth. All right, let's go ahead and measure this trigger pull. Let's see what kind of modified trigger pull we got. 3 pounds, 5.4 ounces. Let's take one more to confirm. 3 pounds, 6.5 ounces. 40% trigger pull reduction from 5.5 pounds down to 3.5 pounds. A fantastic improvement for this great little concealed carry pistol, and really nice, smooth, clean action now. That is just unbelievable. Really amazing results, and not a lot of effort, not a lot of money, but just some good quality improvement that doesn't take a lot of time. Really love this pistol, love it even more now, especially now with that nice, clean, smooth trigger, man. Really excited about it. I can't wait to see what kind of results you guys get. Send us the before and after polishing pics or post them in the forum. Hey, if you guys found this helpful, if you found this video informative, give us a like or subscribe on YouTube, really helps us. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you, CARBO Brotherhood, for your ideas and your support. And as always, happy shooting.